Ali Bennett got in a lot of trouble for being, of an Australian accent running for
Greens.
Running for the Greens. So imagine if someone Australian Italian rocks up, not just a bit of an Aussie accent, but this whole thing going on.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Sarah Scoots McKenzie, she says, for the first time in weeks, Hull came out looking like they wanted to play, and they did. 24 unanswered points was a good foundation for the win. Second half defence was sloppy. We let Luluai have as much space as he wanted. Yes, Wigan had players out, but so did we. 1-17 were great. Washy controlled play. Well, Connor, massive improvement. The forwards were dominant. How can we be so Jekyll and Hyde?
There you go. Little Joshua said it was a very good performance, but why can't we beat Liam? The Catalans, Minicello had a very good game. Mark? Ha-ha.
Hence the bad winner.
He said, there you go. He's a terrible winner. He's a little boy, Mark. All little boys are terrible winners.
I'm joking. No, honestly, he deserves to have a bit of a funny laugh, because like his mum said, they're not really getting it all the time.
No?
In between joy and despair as a Hull FC fan, it would seem like.
Yeah. Well, it was certainly joyous this weekend, though, wasn't it? They got off to an absolute flying start, didn't they, in this one?
First half, they were outstanding. Really, they played a really good controlled offload game in the first half, and look, Wigan's tackling was shocking. Wigan's ability to put players on the floor was awful, but Hull FC did everything they needed to do to take advantage of that. They were patient whilst being sort of clinical and ruthless. They were really good, and maybe there was a forward pass involved in a try, and there was, we could go through it. The Minicello try could have. I do think in the first half, the 50-50s definitely went with Hull, but you find that they go with the side who's playing the better, and I think that's kind of the right way for it to be in a weird way, and that's just what happened. In the second half, the forward pass ratio balanced up. I'm not sure the whole ratio balanced up, but look, Wigan were not good enough to win this game. Goal kicking aside, if we'd have kicked all our goals and they'd have kicked all their goals, they still would have won by 5 points. We gave them chances to kick penalties. We gave them space we gave them time to offload the ball, stood up in tackles. We completely deserted our wingers at times, and the Minicello try could have been chalked off because Liam Forsyth was definitely interfered with Carlos Tumavarve.
Yes,
but that gives no excuse for Lewis Tierney to put his foot in around the ball. And that cost us conversion in front of the sticks.
Yeah.
Yes, the pass did look forward from Houghton to Washbrook, because Houghton threw it behind the line and Washbrook caught it on the line at best. But that's no excuse for Liam Farrell to get himself sin-binned. And he should. And now this frustration was because of how shit we were playing, not because of the referee, and I'm sure of that. But it's not acceptable still.
No.
I don't know if when he said bullshit quite clearly when he was stood next to the referee when the referee was given the try, whether that was about the refereeing decision or whether that was about his frustration with the situation. I don't know what he actually said to him before that, but obviously he questioned, challenged the decision, and that's not appropriate.
No, and the thing is, Liam Farrell,
and then to say bullshit so obviously right next to the referee it can get carried, even if it wasn't meant that way. I think giving him a charge and getting a game ban for it and all that sort of stuff is right, and getting sin-binned for it, because we don't want to see that.
Yeah, the thing that does for me is it lets the entirety of the team down. As much as we're going to talk about Lewis Tierney and the trouble he'll be in with Sean White, if you're Liam Farrell in a game where Sean O'Loughlin hasn't made the squad, you're one of the 2 or 3 leaders on that pitch. And
when Luluai,
along with McIlroy, along with Tommy Luluai, you're the representative. So,
and then
it's not like he's never played rugby league.
My final point on that first half of things that maybe started off going slightly for Hull, but Wigan didn't help themselves, is the Willie Isa situation that again gave him a kickable penalty just before half time. Now, Minicello did step on Isa's hand, I think accidentally. Isa's reacted to that. You can understand why he's reacted it with the initial first trip, because his hand's been stood on and he doesn't know it's accidental or what. You can understand it.
Plus, there's another player who's frustrated by.
But the whole circumstance of the way he went about it all, off the back of all of that, has put his side under the pressure. They've kicked that penalty goal. Who knows, if that hadn't been kicked, we go into the half with a bit more better, because we'd scored a try when we were down a man in that 10 minutes. You never know. But these Wigan players lost the discipline at key times because of the frustration with their own poor performances, and the fact that it came off the back of probably slight minor injustices doesn't excuse it, and if anything, it amplifies that if the bounce of the ball's going against you and the other team are playing better than you, the last thing you need to be doing is putting yourself under pressure. Now, for me, Thomas Lulawi's kick was a 40-20. But I'm a Wigan fan. I'm going to see that he bounced on. How a referee, how a light touch judge from 40 metres away can decide it went out a fucking centimetre
it wasn't
before
a
the line.
It was a metre. And on the balance of...
They lined up that scrum. They put the head and feet of that scrum about 2 inches from the line. How James Chow can judge that, I do not know. But, having said
administrative, though.
It's a 50-50 going one way or the other. And that's all it was. 50-50 going one way or the other. And I'm not saying the referees are at fault. I'm saying there were 50-50s in that first half that went against Wigan because Hull deserved it, and then Wigan were never going to be good enough to get fully back into the game, no matter how much good stuff we did in the second half. We need to talk about some outstanding tries in this game.
Go on.
Don't we?
We do.
Lewis Tierney's try, and Jamie Shaw's try.
Yes, Jamie Shaw, fabulous.
Great individual skill on that one. Fantastic team skill on the other one.
Jamie Shaw's entire performance in that game was one of the more assured Jamie Shaw performances I've seen for a long time as well, because defensively he was very sound too. And this is why I rate this kid. When he brings both sides of that game to the full-back position, he's in the conversation with Zach Hardacre for me. He can be that good. He just needs
to not for Wayne Bennett.
Well, no, but fucking Wayne Bennett. He what does he know?
What's he ever done?
Fuck all according to Radford, apart from slag off English Rugby League. If he just needs to get that consistency of performance there, and that's always going to be the weakness for Jamie Shaw, from my point of view. The Lewis Tierney try, though, it was just a great piece. Are you talking about the one where Joe Burgess broke and then it went out wide? Is that
that was Tom Davies' first try.
Right, okay.
No, the Lewis Tierney try was the one with the Farrell offload after
he made that line
after someone else's offload. After Liam Forsyth had 2 offloads, and I think Willie Ice had an offload.
It's one of the least Wigan tries I've ever seen Wigan score. Yes, I do remember now.
That was great off the cuff stuff that you maybe don't associate necessarily with Sean Wayne's Wigan side. And then the final offload from Farrell as he was going down to the floor was I thought brilliant. Those 2 tries lit up what was a largely entertaining game.
It was very entertaining, fair, absolutely.
Obviously pretty high scoring. Hull were definitely the better team for long enough in this game to deserve it, despite Scoops actually being completely spot on about the sloppiness. And do you know what? Their pack in the first half absolutely stood up to the task.
And do you know what? And that's a pack missing 2 England prop forwards.
It's a pack missing their best 2 front row forwards and their captain, but he's been out for so long it's almost like, can you say they're missing him? Great move by Radford, I think, putting Manu into the 13 in the middles, because
it frees him up almost to do that running havoc, running havoc that he likes to call.
Is a tough, uncompromising physical player, and Wigan, and that's what they lacked without having Watson and Taylor. That physicality to an extent. Chris Green brings it. Is just like a poor man's Liam Watts to me, but Manu being put in there gave that impetus in that first half. I think that was a really clever, shrewd move.
Particularly when he's coming up against a 13.
And off the bench, young Brad
Wigan, who was the young man that played for Wigan?
Fashion Matongo got some really good runs in first up. Jack Wells, young lad. Callum Field, young lad.
Who took Locker's place? Who played at 13 for you? Was it
well, I think Isa got put
in there.
But Jack Wells did a lot of work in that position too. I'm surprised Joel Tompkins didn't start at 13, but hey,
he's another one of your players that I'm not entirely sure is fully fit though. Another one.
But either way, look, the scoreline reflected the better team winning, I think.
I think it did. One thing I want to touch on before we start talking about stats and individual performances, there is one real positive out of this game for both sides, and in fact for Rugby League, for my money, that no one's really talked about, and that's the quality of some of the youth that's coming through. Now, Wigan were patched up and well beaten, particularly in the first half, but in the second half they sprung to life and just traded tries really. But you look
Wigan won the second
half.
half.
Won the second half, sorry, that's right. He scored the first two, and then traded tries. So didn't quite have enough gas in the tank. But I think with the side that's got so many young players in it, you can almost expect that there'll be the odd half where things don't go particularly well for you. But look at, all the Liams, really, young Tom Davies, Callum Fielder you talked about, all phenomenally talented kids. And then the bench that Hull were playing as well, 4 21-year-olds. That's a lot of them, and they're forwards at 21 who are coming in and doing a really good job. That's a great early age.
There's inconsistency for them lads, and off the bench, in the second half there was a drop off in the tackling technique and that sort of stuff. But their first up carries when they first got on the field were outstanding.
You saw youth and enthusiasm really on both sides of the ball. To be fair, and I think that's something we should be applauding and probably highlighting a bit more, that these two clubs have got these young talented players ready to step up and not necessarily play like seasoned pros, but the enthusiasm was there from on both sides of the ball. So I think that's a fantastic thing that we should highlight.
Right. Well, I mean, we had the referee segue, but we've done about 1,000 minutes on this one, so everyone will be getting annoyed because it was a Wigan game. It was the only game anyone saw this week.
To be fair, yeah, exactly. Two of the best supported sides in the country. But what did the stats tell us about this one?
This game had the most missed goals so far this season. 5 of the 7 misses off the boot of Wigan's kickers, so not necessarily surprising from anyone who watched. Although Wigan started badly and Hull started with a strong offload game, it ended with Wigan having a 5% better team tackle success and 6 more successful offloads. That springs to, one, that Tierney try, and 2, what Scoots was saying about second half defence getting sloppy. Wigan also made an extra break, although Hull made more metres and did so at a very impressive 1.5 metres per carry better average gain. That's about all that forward work we spoke about. 15-9 errors made by Hull made things a little less convincing than it looked early, like it would be early on. But 12-4 by Wigan, and the penalty count was a major factor in them losing this game, with a count of 10-0 at one stage, I think.
Yeah, I was at the point of losing my temper with commentary at that point, when they started to just about start alluding to, well, is the penalty count fair? Fucking don't give away penalties.
It was fair.
No, I agree, but sometimes you get that. That's another thing that annoys me, and they didn't do it on time, but fans sometimes do.
Radford did it after the game. He said, I told my players at half time, we're so far ahead on the penalty count that it's going to even out. Well, no, what you should have told your players is to not lie on, not be 4 yards offside, and then you won't get any penalties given against you.
On both sides of that argument, I couldn't agree more with the whole penalty count thing. The idea that the penalty count needs to be...
I think having a 12-4 penalty count was great because Wigan were more indisciplined in this game.
Exactly, I agree.
Don't be afraid to have one if it's the right penalty count.
Precisely.
Now, maybe a couple more penalties could have been given against Hull at some point, or maybe a couple more could have been given against Wigan, to be honest, because there are, like Beaumont actually had a valid point on, there are lots of times where there's offside players not quite called, or... sometimes a little bit not square, but sometimes things happen in games.
That's so fucking annoying from David Beaumont, because that's not the sort of penalties and indiscipline that's costing his team.
Do you know what the real issue with all that is, though? It's the coaches. Sean Wayne has to get his Wigan side in and say, that was shite, we need to sort that out.
Yeah, exactly. And they did, to be fair, they came out and they won the second half.
Well, the penalty count was still evenish in the second half. Penalty count.
Yeah, exactly.
Yet we were massively on top and we weren't winning penalties because Hull were more disciplined, obviously. When Hull were massively on top, they were winning penalties because we were not playing well.
The discipline, exactly. Right, individually, who stood out for us?
Mark Milicello with a try 100 metres, Danny Houghton a try, 2 try assists, 47 tackles, Albert Kelly a try 153 metres, Jamie Shaw a try 110 metres, 2 clean breaks, and Steve Michaels 2 tries from his 2 clean breaks.
Fantastic for the Wigan Warriors.
Liam Marshall had 2 tries and 7 tackle busts. Tom Davies 2 tries 117 metres, 4 clean breaks from the lad. Joe Burgess a try 155 metres. Taulima Tautai, the only forward really standing up for Wigan, with 132 metres. Liam Farrell, prop forward anyway. Liam Farrell 1 try assist and 152 metres despite his 10 minutes off the field. Grade B charge there, and I think all around that's about right.
Yeah, I would say so. Okay, down at the John Smiths on Sunday afternoon then. Huddersfield 44, Warrington Wolves 4 in front of 5,362, refereed by Chris Kendall.
Yeah, Mark W was the only one to get in touch. He said, Dire Wire, poor Kevin Penny has no place at fullback. Why Smith played him there with Ratch in the centres is beyond me. Apart from their try, only Cooper tried anything in our 20 and he didn't try much. But don't take anything away from us. A full 80-minute performance with solid defence and fast creative attack, Hinchcliffe outstanding, a win at Catalans next week and top 8 looking very, very likely.
Right, we'll get that win out of the way first of all, and don't get too carried away because Warrington are absolutely shocking at the minute. And we talked about this earlier doors in the season. Probably whilst they were going through that first 6 or 7 games where they didn't win one, there's got to be something going on behind closed doors at Warrington that we're unaware of, because this team should be the sum of this team's parts is greater than what we're seeing on the field at the moment, isn't it? And there are